Hi everyone, welcome back. We are into lesson 4 within module 2, topic 1, lesson 4, and we are on page 211. A trip to the moon using tables to represent equivalent ratios. Learning goals: create and reason about tables of equivalent ratios. Use known values in a table to determine equivalent ratios. Solve problems by reasoning about graphs and diagrams and tables of equivalent ratios. So quick review. Number 1 here says, it takes 1 cup of milk to make 8 batches of pancakes. How many cups of milk does it take to make 16 pancakes? So our given information is 1 cup of milk for 8 pancakes. And they want to know, that is a C, looks like an E. They want to know how many cups of milk for 16 pancakes. Our 16 pancakes are in the denominator, and we're looking for how many cups of milk. So how do you go from 8 to 16? Times 2. So what you do the bottom, you do the top. 1 times 2 gives us 2. So 2 cups of milk. Number 2, how many cups of milk does it take to make 4 pancakes? So we're using the same ratio, 1 cup for 8 pancakes. Now they want 4 pancakes. How do you go from 8 to 4? This time we're scaling down. We're going to divide by 2. So divide by 2. What is 1 divided by 2? Right, so it's 1/2 of a cup. So for every 4 pancakes, you need 1/2 of a cup of milk. There's a bit of a glare on that. How many pancakes can you make with 4 cups of milk? So this time they're giving us the milk and they're asking about the pancakes. But we can still say 1 cup for 8 pancakes. Now they're giving us 4 cups of milk and they want to know how many pancakes. So how do you go from 1 to 4? Right, times 4. So 8 times 4 gives us 32. So 32 pancakes. Okay, so it says you have created equivalent ratios by drawing models using tape diagrams, scaling up and down, and creating double number lines. Are there other strategies you can use to determine equivalent ratios? Well, they're asking because yes, indeed, there is. So we're going to flip the page to 212, the getting started. So population density. Population density is a ratio that compares people to square miles. The graph shown gives the approximate population density of 4 U.S. states in 2019. Wants to know which of the states shown has the greatest population density, which state has the least population density. So just to help you understand what the word density is. So like, let's just draw a picture. Let's say this is this state of Pennsylvania, and each dot represents a person. Okay, the density of Pennsylvania may look like that. People kind of have some space between them. And then maybe this is New York, the population density of New York might have it even more dense. So the dots are going to be much closer together. Kind of like an area where you might see some trees, right? So if you have a grass area and you have just one tree here, but then you have a whole forest and the trees are like right next to each other, they say that the forest is very dense because everything's very tightly packed together. Okay, so the more dense, the less space there is in between things. Less dense, there's more space. Like between here, there's more space between the people. So basically, when it's talking about population, the less dense it is, kind of the more open space and land there is for each person. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense there. These are the type of questions that you will see out and about in the world. You'll see them in the newspaper, on TV, maybe in magazines or articles online. A question like this will probably pop up on the PSSA, and you need to make sure you know how to read it. So it gives us a key down here, and it has this little blue person is approximately equal to, it has this little squiggly line. So that means it's about, and for this activity, we're going to say it's 200 people. And then the square equals 1 square mile. So 1 square mile means it goes 1 mile in this direction and 1 mile this way. And it's kind of squared off. So a mile in each direction. Because 1 times 1 is 1. So 1 square mile. Okay, now that we have that stuff out of the way, let's take a look at the information they're giving us. So in Oregon, we have 1 person. So that 1 person is the equivalent of the 1 person drawing. It's not really 1 person. The 1 person drawing represents 200 people. Per how many square miles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Per 5 square miles. Okay. And what about North Carolina? So there's 1, 2, and half of a person. So this is 200, 200. Half of 200 is 100. So that one is 500 people for 2 square miles. All right, what would New Jersey be? Can you do it? Write it down. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the blue people shown. So that's going to be 200, 400, 600, 800, 1,000, 1,200 people for 1 square mile. And then Texas, I'm going to pause here for just a second. I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I just noticed an error in this version. The version of the pages that I had previously, like last year, this little guy right here was not 3/4 of the guy. It was just 1/4 of it. So it gives a very different answer, but that's okay. We can work with this. So this one is 200, 200. And then how much is this worth? So it's 3/4 of the 200. Or if you think about this one was 100, right? If we cut it in half, one side's 100, this side is 100. And if you cut it in half this way, so it would be 50 here, 50 here, 50, 50. So we have all of these parts here, except for this bottom right corner. So this is worth 50 and 50 and 50 here. So this guy represents 150. He represents 150. So altogether, this one is 550 people for 6 square miles. Okay, so now it asks which has the greatest population density and which has the least. Well, this is kind of like the hot chocolate question that we had a few days ago. It's hard to compare these because we have different amount of square miles. Just like in the hot chocolate, we needed to look at things when it was showing the same amount of milk in each. So if we can show each of these, maybe like this one where it's a per 1 square mile, then we can compare them. So how do we get 200 people per 5 square miles down to just per 1 square mile? Right, so how do we go from 5 to 1? Right, so we're going to divide by 5. And we divide by 5. So I just want to point out that 200 divided by 5 is literally what this indicates here. So the 200 over the 5 is saying 200 divided by 5. When you do that, you get a denominator of a 1. Okay, so 200 divided by 5 gives you 40. So we have 40 people per square mile in Oregon. This one's pretty easy to do. So for 1 square mile, so 2 divided by 2, 500 divided by 2, so 250 people. Just going to put a P, I've run out of room. This one's already done. So when this just showed the bottom of one of the legs, it worked out mathematically much easier. This one's going to be a little bit different, but it's okay, we can do this. So how do you go from 6 to 1? Divide by 6. So 550 divide by 6. So let's just work that out here. How many 6s can you take out of 5? None. What about 55? Terrible 5. 9. 9 times 6, 54. Subtract, I get a 1. The 1 is less than 6, so I'm good to bring down my 0. I can get one group of 6 out of 10. 1 times 6 is 6. Subtract, I get 4. I can add a decimal point at the end and a 0 without changing the value of the number, and then bring down that 0. How many 6s can I get out of 40? Well, that would be 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Subtract, I get 4. If I add another 0 and bring it down, I'm back to 40 again. So what's going to keep happening is I'm going to keep getting that 6 repeating. So we're at like 91.6 repeating. For the sake of this, we're going to round that up to 92 decimal points right there in our answer. So we're going to say 92 people per 1 square mile. Okay, so which one is the most dense? So that's the one that would have the most amount of people per square mile. So which one would that be? So here we have, I'm going to circle them. We have 40 people per square mile, 250 per square mile, 1,200 people per square mile, and 92 people per square mile. So the most dense would be New Jersey, and the least dense would be Oregon. OR for Oregon. Okay, number 2 says, what is the population density of your state or city? How does this compare with other states or cities in the United States? I will give you a bonus point on an assignment or test of your choice if you can look this up for the state of Pennsylvania. So you have to look up the people, the number of people, and you'll need to look up the square miles of Pennsylvania. Okay, all right. We will see you on the next video for activity 1.